Hey, so you've been seeing the videos out there of the awesome gameplay and ships that Star Citizen has to offer, or maybe you have a friend who's finally gotten, you to pull the trigger on buying into the game. Well, good. Let me go ahead and be your guide, and in this video, I'm going to give you a rundown of where the game is today, what the roadmap for the rest of 2018 is, and then take you into picking a game package with the right ship and getting into the game. Hey guys, I'm STLYoungblood, and I'm a content creator focusing in on Star Citizen, and the reason I've zoned in on this game is because it's going to be awesome. Now that may sound a little bit like a sales pitch, but I really don't mean it to be. The game is heading towards being a unique first-person universe with some aspects of flight sims, FPS games, and RPGs and MMOs all kind of wrapped up into one. Now the idea is that the universe is being developed to provide the opportunity to play the game in the way that you want to. If you want to fly a ship around and engage in combat, you can do bounty hunting, mercenary work, or be like an escort for a transport wing. If you prefer the less lawful side of virtual life, then there's piracy and smuggling that are planned. If you want to build your fortune through industry, then you can take on the life of a hauler or a miner. Maybe you just want to get out and explore space because we're too early in life to be able to do that now. So then you go out and grab an exploration ship, get into uncharted locations, see things that you wouldn't see otherwise, collect the data, and then sell that to those who find it valuable. Outside of that, there's racing, crafting, farming, filmography, managing a fleet, logistics, economics, and a lot more. And this is all living in a persistent open-world universe with a ton of other players and NPCs, which also include 4 alien races so far, with varying levels of friendliness towards humans, and all with deep lore that are behind them. Cloud Imperium Gaming is planning to eventually get up to about 100 or more star systems, and when you see the scope of what we have today, that's really going to blow your mind. Now, ideally, Star Citizen is going to give you the option to play the way that you want to. That's the dream. And while we're not there yet, you can see it moving in that direction. There's also what is known as electronic access in-game, which is almost like a simulator inside the game and brings the ability to fly your ship in simulated situations like fighting pirates or other players or racing without the in-game penalties for actually losing your ship. There's a FPS module called Star Citizen, or Star Marine, I should say, that allows for deathmatch type games. And in addition to Star Citizen's persistent universe, there's also a work-in-progress 3-episode campaign called Squadron 42, which is a single-player story where you're all going to be playing in the military with, kind of splitting time conducting operations from the seat of a cockpit or in first-person shooting scenarios. Squadron 42 has some big-name actors as part of the project who have lent their voices as well as their faces and motion capture, meaning you're going to be interacting with the likes of Mark Hamill, Gillian Anderson, Gary Oldman, Liam Cunningham, and more. This video is primarily going to be focusing in on the persistent universe portion of the game, but it is worth noting that there's more available as separate packages. Today we're in Alpha, specifically release 3.0, and this has been the first real expansion in a while, but it has opened up some major aspects of gameplay and is serving as the testbed for further developments that are going to be coming throughout the year and onward. Right now you have the ability to pull ships, fly to 3 moons and large asteroids that all have outposts on them, visit space stations, and a lot of kind of just unique sightseeing out there as well. In the economy system, right now we're trading what's known as Alpha UEC, which are basically going to be your in-game Alpha credits that we know are going to be wiped at some point with the new patches that are going to come up as balancing is needed. But you can start to build your own fortune, which then allows you to buy weapons for your character like SMGs or railguns. You can do things like buy clothing and armor for your characters that persist in between game sessions. And you can earn these credits through trading commodities, which is fairly rudimentary at this point, but does provide tasks that you can do. And when you go to purchase the goods at a terminal, you can actually see them present in your cargo containers inside of your ship when you go back to it. Now, if your ship is destroyed, the cargo ends up in your debris for others to take, meaning there are some piracy options available at the moment today. You can also earn credits through taking on missions, which take you to new locations and give you new gameplay. However, the amount that you actually earn on those, as far as in-game credits, is very low. So they're mostly going to be more for the entertainment factor until that ends up being balanced out better. There are the beginnings to other systems for persistence in place as well, including the being able to enter a bed in your ship and log out and being able to come back into the ship and have it be exactly where you left off, which doesn't always work, but it's gotten much more reliable. Now, the ships in game vary drastically, from small space bikes that kind of hover over planet surfaces or fly freely in space, to dedicated fighters and haulers of medium and small sizes, up to the large Caterpillar multi-purpose ship that carries, more cargo than anything else in the game right now. The size of what is in game now can be big, and these ships get dwarfed by some of the things that are going to be coming online, later in the year. So while there's a lot to do right now, I'm not going to blow smoke either. It can be buggy, you're going to experience crashes and issues that force you to restart, you may have to delete folders, you're going to be scratching your head sometimes and wondering what the heck is going on. Now, frame rates are generally in the 15 to 40 range, depending on the number of people in the server and also how, beastly your computer is. But we know a lot of what's happening now is not client related. So we just need to kind of wait on the continuing network improvements the development team is working on currently, and something they're going to be doing ongoing. Now, I will say, though, that the frame rates are playable today. Unlike other games where you'd maybe be crying and giving up at these levels of frame rates, it's not that big of an issue now. Basically, it's important to know what the issues are right now, so if you do decide to jump in, just being aware that it's not perfect. We are in alpha, but it is getting better constantly. Now, if you don't want to deal with the bugs and crashing, then this may be not the right time for you to jump in. But they are manageable, and the game is fun. So if you don't mind dealing with some bugs and you get to kind of be along for the process of the game development, it's a good time to get in. I'd suggest you all check out the Robert Space Industry site, and under development is a subsection called Roadmap. And that basically lays out the planned timeline for what's being worked on and is updated with progress and shows what they expect over the 4 major releases that they're planning for the year. Quarter 1 is supposed to mostly be improvements to core systems and working to improve things like network and client performance so we all have better experiences in-game, along with weapons and flight changes. We're expecting to see a large salvage ship, though the mechanics for that aren't really fully expected in-game until later in the year. A racing ship, a new buggy, which gives you surface travel, and a new exploration ship. They're also working on getting character customization in, since today we all look the same, and then we're going to have the ability to customize our appearances to our liking. Closer to the middle of the year, we're expecting to see beacons to share your location with other players, and services that are going to be integrated to pay other players for, like, providing escort or refueling your ship, or, just being your buddy on the ship. You get to pay people for their services. We should also see mining come online in a meaningful way, which means that you can extract and process ore from asteroids or locations on planetary surfaces. Also, salvage, like I mentioned, is planning to come online, allowing you to take apart a derelict ship, process the goods, and sell them for a profit. That release is expected to bring us a new fighter, a new stealth bomber, a large luxury craft, a rework to one of the starter ships known as the Mustang, and a rework to the multi-purpose Avenger, as well as a nasty alien light fighter called the Blade. This is going to be one of the bigger and more important patches that's released for the game, especially this year. Quarter 3 is going to be what's bringing us our first new planet. Today, everything we experience is surrounding one planet with the moons in orbit around it, and that space is huge. The planet Hurston is what's planned for this, probably in fall, which we saw in a CIG presentation, is actually so far away from where we're currently at, within the same solar system, that it took 8 minutes to jump there with no interdictions along the way. There's also going to be moons in orbit, as well as a large landing site on Hurston being available. We should also see an updated model to the communication arrays that dot the systems, as well as our first new space station type called the Res Stop. The developers have also planned on releasing basically the front end of the refueling cycle to where the Starfarer can go out and actually collect fuel to use for other ships. New ships in this patch are going to include the luxury version of a mid-sized multi-purpose ship, different variants of the Cyclone buggy, and a large patrol ship dotted with 24 large weapons, known as the Hammerhead, which should be our first look at large ship combat. And finally, Quarter 4 should bring on another new planet known as ArcCorp that's covered in cities, kind of like Coruscant from Star Wars, landing zone there, moons around the planet, and another new space station type that's focused on cargo storage and trading. This is also going to serve as our first change, and I guess really how we're getting into prospecting and claiming land as our own. A new ships that are going to come in is going to include a rework to a line of lower-priced luxury ships, the Bounty Hunting Hawk, the different gameplay-focused Semi-Starter Reliant line, and a cargo version of the Constellation line, as well as 3 variants for the Cargo Hauling Freelancer that are going to bring more gameplay options to that line of ships. So that's kind of a brief overview, but it should at least give you an idea of what's coming in 2018 and what we should expect to see coming throughout the year. Well, if after all this you've decided that you've done your research and it's now time to buy into the game, then let's talk about the different types of packages that are available. First off, you can't just buy a standalone ship and expect to be able to boot into the game. You need to purchase one that's known as a game package. On the RSI site, you would go to the shop button and then the game packages option, and you're going to see the buying options for ships that include game packages. Here you need to decide if you have interest in playing just the multiplayer open universe or if you want to get into the campaign as well. Now, if you want both, the best place to start is to purchase one of the $60 packages that have Squadron 42 and Star Citizen combo in the title. And then you need to choose between the Aurora MR or the Mustang Alpha. Now, if you don't care about the campaign, you can opt for any of these packages, and I'll run through those ships in a minute, but just make sure that it has the Star Citizen download option as far as the actual package is concerned. Now, it is worth noting that on the shop page, there is what is known as ship upgrades. And this is what you can do to kind of take the ship in your package and upgrade it to a different ship while retaining the other contents of your package, like the game, the insurance, the hangar. Only your ship is going to change. So let's say that you want the campaign and the multiplayer, but you don't mind spending a little bit more to get a different ship. Then you would purchase the $60 starter package and a ship upgrade to get the new ship. You can apply these ship upgrades at any time. However, you can't remove them after you've applied them. So remember, it's really kind of an upward-only process as far as cost is concerned. But you can do this months down the line if you want. So if you want to start cheap and you want to get in at $60 now, you could upgrade to a ship later on, which I think is a good option because get your feet wet first and make sure the game is actually what you want it to be. I also want to point out that you can pay $45 and get into the persistent universe with a ship, and will eventually be able to buy other ships in-game with in-game credits as opposed to real money. So when you see some of these packages that have higher dollar amounts, don't think you're obligated to spend a lot. Those are available for people who don't mind spending a lot to actually support the game's development. Now, in these packages, you're typically going to notice 4 key items when you click on more information. The hangar is your home that you're going to have in the verse, and we're still waiting on more information on where it's going to be located and if you have the ability to select where these are or if you can move them. But there are 4 different types of moving around, from the economical Southland, the business-like AeroView, the fancy Revel in York, or the industrial VFG hangars. Now, in these packages, you also have starting currency, which varies by package purchased, but that's going to be what's in your wallet on day 1 of release. You also have the Star Citizen digital download, which is your access into the verse and is your ship, and you also have your ship's insurance. Now, if you opt for Squadron 42 combo, then you have 2 other items, including the Squadron 42 download, which is the game itself, and the manual for the game. Now, going back to insurance for a second, this is what's actually going to protect your ship once it's destroyed, and it covers whatever's on the ship that in the way that you purchased it. So if you see 3-month insurance, that means that you're going to have 3 months of coverage while you're actively playing the game. Now, there's been some talk about time compression or, I guess, changing the amount of the in-game time. But if you're playing a few hours a week, the 3-month insurance is going to last a lot longer than 3 months as the calendar moves in real life. And let's say that you upgrade weapons or components on your ship and you're destroyed. Well, your insurance is going to replace and provide you with the same ship you started with, but it does not cover those upgrades that you made. Now, there is a lot more to be seen on specifics with insurance, and we do know that you're going to be able to pay for insurance in-game, and it's supposed to be a very trivial amount. So basically just know that once your 3 months are up, you can pay for it in-game and still keep your ship protected, and it shouldn't break the bank. And to add to that, we know that we're expecting to see the ability to cover your upgrades for an extra cost in the game. So if you have some stuff on your ship that you really like, you can probably insure that. So let's go ahead and get into picking the right ship for you. And starting with the 2 starter packages that basically include both games, you choose between the Aurora and the Mustang. The Mustang is a small, light ship that focuses on agility. It has a great cockpit, it handles very well, but doesn't bring a ton of firepower and lacks some durability in a fight. The Aurora is a little bit more industrial, and it can take more of a beating. It has better weaponry as well, but it is noticeably less agile and slower. Now, both of these ships are going to be carrying cargo in a box that you tow kind of along the underside of the ship, though the box isn't currently in-game. If you're interested in just spending $45 to $60, then you really just want to pick between those based on which flight model suits you better and go from there. I think for me, I prefer the Mustang from a visibility standpoint, but from an actual gameplay perspective, I prefer the Aurora. So it's kind of just up to you. Now, if you don't mind spending a little bit more, I'm going to cover a few other options that I think are phenomenal choices. But I'm not going to cover all the ships because there are a ton of them, and I have a lot of other videos on those in particular if you're looking for more information there. Also, keep in mind that not all ships are available at any given time. So while you may see some that are on the ship matrix, that you may not be able to buy them now, but a lot of times at the end of the year, you're going to see a couple different sales that come up that are going to give you the option to buy limited ships. So with that in mind, let's check out the Avenger Titan. You can either buy the multiplayer Star Citizen game only in a package that includes the Avenger for $75. You could also buy one of the Mustang or Aurora game packages that provides you a Squadron 42, and then do a ship upgrade from that ship to the Avenger, which costs $25. The Avenger is a fast ship. It's impressive cargo space for a ship of its size. It brings some good weaponry for combat as well. Basically, if you're interested in more of a fighter that has a lot of versatility in other roles, then the Avenger is really hard to beat for the price. You can also later on down the line buy holding cells to put in the back, so you could do bounty hunting as well. Now, with a bit more of a price increase, there's two ships around the $100 mark, not including the game package, that offer a lot, being the Cutlass Black and the Misk Freelancer. The Cutlass package is $115, and it gives you a medium-sized ship that has good cargo space, side doors for EVA action, a cargo ramp on the back for easy loading, a turret, 2 cockpit seats, and beds to allow you to log out in-game for your ship. The Cutlass is one of the more updated ships as well, so it's a great place right now, and is durable, flies well, isn't particularly fast, but brings good firepower, and can do a large variety of missions, including cargo. The Freelancer is sort of like your space truck. It carries more cargo than a Cutlass, is a bit slower, but has more cockpit seats, and should allow for better range. Both of these are going to basically increase the gameplay options that you have, and should allow for greater profits with larger cargo space, but should both be pretty versatile in like the different roles that you can take on. The Freelancer should be better between the two for cargo and exploration, while the Cutlass should be better in combat and piracy. Now, you can buy both of those in packages for $115 or $125, or upgrade from the game package including Squadron 42 for an additional $75 or $85. Now, ships can really range in price, so I'm also going to stop there for now since you're just getting started, but let me know if you have questions on other ships, and I'll try and give some advice in the comments. The other thing that's worth noting is that just because a ship can carry more people, it doesn't necessarily mean it's always going to make you more money, because people that are flying along with you may want to be paid for that mission as well. So, sometimes an Avenger would actually be more profitable than a Freelancer. But the reason I'm kind of talking about the Cutlass and the Freelancer is because those ships are still very manageable to play just by yourself. When you start getting into larger ships like the Constellation line and above, you start kind of seeing benefits to having somebody else on board your ship to kind of help protect it. Now that you've purchased your package, you just need to download the launcher. And once that's installed, the launcher will then download the game itself. Now, the initial download is going to take a little while. But once that's been completed, any subsequent changes are going to be fast thanks to the new Delta patcher, which came online in 3.0 and is only going to make changes to the updated files. Now, I would recommend that this gets installed on an SSD if possible to give you the best performance in-game. Now, once you actually get booted up into the game, you're going to be presented with the main menu, which has 3 core options. The first of which is Universe, which you click through to either head to Crusader, which is the open universe where you're going to fly for the first time, or you can select the hangar that you have at the bottom to just walk around your ship and kind of check it out. The second option is Star Marine, which is going to take you into the simulated FPS deathmatch type of environment. And finally, the third option is Arena Commander, which is where you get into virtual games of being able to fly your ship. What I would personally recommend you doing, and kind of your starting order here, would be heading over to the hangar module first and basically pulling your ship up, and then how you get into it, you can see what it's like, get a feel for like the cockpit, those sort of things. And then you want to go into Arena Commander and choose Free Flight to learn how to control your ship in a single player world, so you don't have to go through trial by fire. Now, once you're comfortable flying around, maybe you zoom in and out of asteroids and that sort of thing, try taking on Vanduul Swarm under Arena Commander to test your kind of space legs in combat, which is going to put you up against some of the space villains in the verse. Then, once you're ready and you feel good in your ship and you're ready to get a taste of the action, go on over to Universe and click Crusader to spawn in at Port Alizar, which is where you're going to start your action in the verse. Right now, the only penalty for losing your ship is time, so don't worry about getting destroyed. It isn't that big of a deal. But I would also advise that you check out my playlist on the channel called 3.0 Guides, as it will get you up to speed on how things work currently in the game and kind of get you off on a good start. So that's basically going to be it for this video. I really hope this helped get some prospective buyers up to speed on where things are today and to make sure that you're kind of aware of what's going on. I will mention that there is a referral program for this game, so if you found this helpful, I do have a code in the description to this video that will help both of us out. Basically, it gives you an additional 5,000 credits when you start the game, as well as giving me points on the referral program ladder. No pressure if you have another code to use, but I do want to toss that out there. As always, if you have questions, please ask them. And for current subscribers, if you have, or want to add in advice of your own to help potential new players, please go ahead and do that, and also help kind of answer questions from folks that are finding their way in. Otherwise, thank you all for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and take care.